The purpose of today is to look at abundance, at money in a conscious way. So I'm going to tell my story in an hour, and I think you'll find it really interesting that in my personal life, I've spanned multiple frequencies in the search for abundance. And abundance is not just financial. I think a lot of us realize that. As we introduce different speakers, we talk about the 30-day experience that we'd like to share with you. So this is the ebook. It is how many pages?
29.
29 pages. Okay. So it is a labor of love. It is like writing a book. And and so that's how we kind of help compensate for the overall overhead that goes into this. It does have a schedule in there. We'll keep to as well as we can. And and then as we introduce the speakers, you'll see their bios are in there, along with some really cool diagrams, outlines, workbook prompts, that type of thing. So there we go. So there's just a little peek. But this is our 12th event. So I have done 11 Arise Summits, and Jackie spoke at our 11th summit in February, and I loved what she represented. And so she's like our main presenter on this one. It's just a 1 day. We've done 5 day events, and so I think today's going to be very rich and very complete in the experience. So we're talking today about having a head to toe abundance experience. And so we actually have reframed that as root to crown. So as you see the tree represents that root to crown experience. And a lot of people on here may understand a little bit about the chakra body, the energy body, and you may not know that there's 4 bodies. So we're also using a little bit from the 4 bodies, 4 medicines model that I have developed the ebook on that. And it's just a free ebook. We might want to put that in the chat as well. So the 4 bodies include the physical body, the energy body or vital body, the mental body, and the quantum body or spiritual body. So it's the same kind of root to crown, but condensed into just basically 4 aspects. And so you're gonna get the science of abundance today, basically. And there is so much to that. So that's what the day is about. We're gonna walk you through the root to crown or physical to spiritual model of complete and total abundance. How does that sound? Are anybody excited about that? Anybody like, woo, have you seen that before? Karen White is on here. She is, I just want to do a shout out to her. So Karen is 76, 76. And this woman decided to transform her life 6 months ago. And how has it gone, Karen? What have you changed about yourself in 6 months that you didn't do in 76 years?
Actually, it's been quite a journey, and I've been able to open up to people. I've been able to appreciate who I am, basically. So yeah,
It's about time. You are an inspiration to me because the old, adage is, the older you are, the less you learn, right? Oh my gosh, that is not Karen. She is a force of change. And so anybody can do it at any time. It's never too late. And what it takes is the quantum shift. And so you're going to learn a little bit about the quantum shift. If the one thing you get out of this is an opportunity to go to join us for the journey for 30 days. So Karen's basically been in our community for 6 months or more. I think it's been about 7. And the ongoing connection, I think, is huge. So we offer a very affordable opportunity with that. And we don't want to do the thing that everybody's been doing and that burns people out. You're not going to hear me try to get you on a call today and sell you a high-end product. You're not going to wait till the end and feel pressured by something with zeros behind it to feel like that's why we did it. That's not the why. We are not attempting to monetize this experience. We're attempting to elevate and inspire. That is truly what I've always been about. And what I love, and I think you'll hear this kind of repeated throughout the day, is that when you're in divine connection with this, when you have a why that is, I believe, spiritually supported, the money works itself out in many cases. And I'll tell my story about that because it's pretty cool. Okay, Jackie is coming on in minutes. We're counting down. She's going to talk about financial freedom. You're closer than you think. I love our title. Right after that, I'll come in and I'm going to explain the frequency model of abundance. So if you're familiar with the map of consciousness, we tie it in with financial freedom. And after that, we're going to hear from Julie Birmingham, who is a somatic NLP coach. And I don't know if that's coined I'm just like, I know that's what it is. So it's basically the root. So that's the physiology of abundance. And so that's gonna be awesome. You're gonna free your creative abundance. And then after that, we've got Karen Ames, who is a certified ZPM practitioner. So 0 point burning, if you haven't heard of it before, you'll understand what that is. It is like an advanced version of emotional freedom technique with some powerful additions. And she's going to walk through a piece of that to clear the vital body. Okay, so that's where we go physical to vital. And then for an hour, we get to hear from Andrea and Richard Haynes, who are a power couple that work with the mind. So you're going to get some tools on affirmations as well as some deep dive into the subconscious. And then we finish off with our spiritual community on spiritual abundance, a journey from root to crown. So that's how it's going to wrap it all up and give you a full body experience today. We are going to be giving away copies of Money Vibe. And then we'll also be giving away copies of, and I'll share my book also in the second hour. If you already have Money Vibe and you want an option, we'll give you an option. But also we'll be giving away a ZPM session or two. And those are really amazing. We can do them online. Get out of your comfort zone, because that's one of the things that you're going to learn as we talk about this, is that our comfort zone is not always our friend. It keeps us comfortable, but also can keep us stuck and keep us in our familiar patterns and not allow us to grow. Okay, think, as we're talking about a tree, of a plant. Oh, and it's 11:11 here in Mountain Time. Let's all shout. Let's, get our 11s out there. But back to growth. When you think about my husband, okay, you're gonna hear about my husband, and he's a green thumb. I don't think he knew that until he started raising plants. And every few months we have another plant in the house. And so he's a creator. That's how he works with his creation energy, right? So if you let a plant grow to its capacity in its little 2-gallon bucket, will it ever reach its full growth? You've got to transplant it, right? So that's kind of a metaphor for the quantum shift. Because if you're transplanting, what are you transplanting? A lot of it is your roots. And I don't think we look at our root energy enough and consider like how much space does a root chakra or energy have to expand. So that's part of what we're going to invite you to do. Expand out of your comfort zone today. Step into some things that are good for you, and if it's staying longer or if it's committing to something, let's see that happen. Let's enjoy your growth with you. Let's all grow together, right? Okay. I want to thank Harley. Isn't this gorgeous? Do you love it? I mean, it's like such a beautiful vibe, but I love it. Okay. Here she is. Jackie Woodside. And believe me, she has got a background. So I got out of my comfort zone when I contacted her 6 months ago. And it was really, I opted into her mailing list and I replied to say, would you consider being on my summit? And she agreed. And that was a step for that. I got out of my 2-gallon bucket when I did that, right? And so I want to tell you what kind of rock star this woman is. She is the executive producer of Money Vibe. and the host of the Conscious Living podcast, because she's also a former mental health practitioner. She is a USA Today and 4-time Amazon best-selling author. She's a TEDx speaker. She's an international trainer and professional coach. She's the founder of the Curriculum for Conscious Living and the Conscious Living Summit. She trains coaches around the world to deliver this life-changing work. Jackie has been featured on television shows with Jack Canfield and Don Miguel Ruiz and the Four Agreements guy, and educational summits with Marianne Williamson, Michael Beckwith, and Daniel Siegel. Her expertise is widely sought after as a teacher and speaker. Jackie is a certified professional coach and a licensed psychotherapist with 30 years experience in both fields. So she's the author of Money Vibe, Your Financial Freedom Formula, whether you have money or not. So that's the book we're focusing on today. She's also the author of several other books, and she's been published in magazines and co-authored. And so she definitely has got a background. But I think the thing that really got my interest is that is producing this documentary on the Money Vibe based off of her Money Vibe book. And she has got film, basically material from Michael Beckwith and others. And I don't know if you're going to get into that much more, but it's like, wow, look at her expansion. Look at how powerful, she's showing up. And she's a mentor to me. She's a role model for me. So I'm excited to hear what she has to say today. And I'm going to turn it over.
All right, Christine, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. So great to be here and meet everybody. And Christine, I really want to acknowledge you. I know how much work it is to put together these kinds of events. So I really want to acknowledge you and thank you for featuring me and having me be one of the people on your summit. It's delightful to collaborate with you. Anyway, so yeah, I want our time together to be incredibly valuable to you. So I always like to begin everything I do by asking you, what are we doing here? Why are you spending your time on Christine's summit today? What is it that's working you in your life? Hi, Harley Ann. Thanks for coming on. Jenny, hi. Jason, didn't say hi to you. So what's working you in your life? Like, what's your intention for today? What do you want to come away with from this experience, my talk and otherwise, that would have you be like, damn, I'm so glad I spent that time today doing that summit. That was like the best thing. Like, really, like what would have it be a pivotal moment for you? So my intention is that each and every one of you walk away from my talk and from today's summit, knowing that you are the conscious co-creator of your experience of life. You are always creating, whether you realize it or not. And the challenge of being in the human suit, as my friend Stephanie Roy likes to say, we're in our human suit. The challenge of being in your human suit is that we go unconscious. We get very taken with the outer externals, the toys that Spirit has put in our sandbox, called relationships and work and bills to pay and the house to clean and the kids to take care of. Like, we get very taken with all of that, and we forget. Listen to this. I'm about to say something brilliant. We forget. You should, I don't want you to miss it. I'll give you a highlight. We forget that life is generated from the inside out. We forget that your life is generated from the inside out, and we spend our time and our energy and our money trying to solve problems on the outside. I like to say that there are no problems in life. I guarantee you're going to have circumstances. Whether or not you have problems depends on the vibrational pattern of consciousness that you live in. Did you get that? Whether or not you have a problem depends on the consciousness that you bring to the situation. You're going to have circumstances, right? If you're in life, if you're in relationships, if you've got a career, if you're married, if you have a house, if you have a car, if you're a human being, you're going to have circumstances. Whether or not you call that circumstance a problem depends on the level of consciousness that you are operating in. So I really my intention for today is that each and every one of you leave here empowered to be the conscious co-creator of your experience of money and life, knowing that it is generated from the inside out. Here's another good truth bomb for you. And this is so hard to swallow. Ugh, I would rather blame somebody else than swallow what I'm about to say. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you believe. Life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you who you are. Ugh, doesn't that piss you off, right? It's so much easier to point the finger at some other circumstance, at some other person, at some politician, at the boss. It's so much easier. And when I did that, my life was kind of a hot mess. Slideshow, we'll continue to share. All right, you guys can see my screen, eh?
Yep.
All right, isn't that beautiful? So conscious abundance, expanding your time, money, and energy. There's a little bit about me that Christine already said, so I'm not going to feature on it. But I wanted to bring this up because there's a few things that I want to show you. And the first place that I want to begin is you understanding that elevating your money vibe enhances every area of your life. So I'll talk a little bit about what I mean by money vibe. When I'm talking about your money vibe, really all I'm talking about is the consciousness that you live in about money. You have a relationship with money. And, I'm sure you know what I mean by that. You have a relationship with everything, with fitness, with money, with the geographical area that you live in, with your spouse, with your kids. You have a relationship with everything. You have a relationship with money. And it's very easy to know what the quality of that relationship is. The quality of your relationship with money can get answered by these three questions. What do you most often think about money? What do you most often say about money? And then what do you most often feel about money? And I've asked those three questions of literally thousands of people. If you want to drop the answers in the chat, I'd love to see where you guys are at. Like, what do you most often think in your own inner world of money? Thoughts like, oh shit, am I going to have enough? And am I going to have enough to retire? And are my kids going to be okay in college? And am I going to have an inheritance to leave to them? And am I going to be able to make it through the month, and have enough money in the bank account? Wherever you are with your finances, those are thoughts. What do I most often feel? Your emotions are things like tension, worry, stress, upset, anxiety, happiness, joy, fulfillment, expectation, expansiveness. So drop in the chat, like, what do you most often think and feel? And then the other one is there's never enough. Yeah. Think I have enough. Money's useful. Yeah, Danny, I'd love to have more. Got that. So what you most often think, feel, and say about money is a really good litmus test of just knowing what your money vibe is. And most people, most of the time, live with a pretty low money vibe. Your experience of money gets generated by your inner consciousness. What I define it as your beat, beliefs, emotions, attitudes, and thoughts. Your beat, beliefs, emotions, attitudes, and thoughts about money. That creates the vibratory pattern that you live in. So when you take on elevating your money vibe, here's the secret. You're elevating your vibe. You're elevating your consciousness, meaning as you change your relationship to money, you are changing the vibratory pattern that you live in. So you really want to look to see, because as you raise your money vibe, you're enhancing every other area of your life. And that really has been my experience. So Christine didn't, she said some nice accolades about me, which I appreciated. What she didn't say is that I was also homeless and flat broke for a portion of my life. Literally like had no place to live, was out of money, didn't know what I was going to do. So I've come from a person who really struggles with money. In college, I put myself through college on a basketball scholarship and working 2 jobs. And I put myself through graduate school by working awake overnights at a residential care facility. So I know what it's like to struggle with money. And today, I have a very, very different experience of life. I've, more than enough, multiple 7-figure assets, 3 waterfront homes. And it's not because of anything I did. I was a social worker, for God's sakes. Now I'm a coach. Those are not exactly like the 2 of the highest paid industries. It's because I changed my fundamental belief about money, growing up with a single mom, raising 3 kids on a high school education. My fundamental belief about money was it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but I'm just going to get by. And because of that, I lived in that consciousness. I'll explain more about that in a little bit. That was the consciousness that I lived in. Look for yourselves. If you had to boil it down to like a sentence or a phrase of what your money story is in a sentence, what is it for you? For me, it's not gonna be easy. It's gonna be hard, but I'm just gonna get by. When I transformed that belief, because life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you believe. So what did I get over and over and over again? I got, not gonna be easy, it's gonna be hard, but I'll just get by. So what is yours? When I transformed that belief was when everything changed. Someone asked me recently when I knew, kind of when I knew that I had gotten to a really healthy money vibe. And the place that I knew I had gotten to a healthy money vibe was when I was a clinician in private practice. And when my caseload would get a little bit low, I would simply have the thought and, give the prayer, oh, I need more clients. And I would get more referrals. And it was so consistent that was happening that it's all, I talked about this to my friends. I have a faucet that I could turn. I have this universal faucet that brings in what I need when I need it. And so do you. And so do you. So a couple other things that Christine didn't share with you, of my not so lauding background. I also am a survivor of domestic violence, survivor of addictions. I've recovered from multiple addictions, and also a long history of chronic depression, PTSD, and multiple psychiatric diagnoses. So I really want you to get, that was my life until about 17 years ago. My last clinical relapse was about how old's my son now? He's 20. It was about 18 years ago. My last relapse into addiction was about 17 years ago. Notice, relapse into depression was 18 years ago. Relapse into addiction was 17 years ago. There's a strong correlation between those two. So I've been, since that time, I have been clean and sober, and I have not had a relapse into depression. It's not because of anything special about me. It's because I applied the principles that I'm teaching you today consistently over time. I am the conscious co-creator of my life. I have the faucet to turn on. So elevating your money vibe enhances every area of your life. And I want to give you just a couple little examples of that, of things that I was able to manifest, like out of the blue. One of them was just last February. I went from snow boots to sand dunes, my unexpected journey to Dubai. I was the next thing I'm going to show you, I was at the Paris Olympics last year, and I met someone who was an event planner who introduced me to this lovely gentleman that you see on your screen, the Sheikh Abdul Aziz Al Nuaimeh, who is the Sheikh of one of the United Arab Emirates of Ajman in the United Arab Emirates. And he invited me, after meeting the Sheikh, he invited me to go visit him in Dubai. That was nowhere on my vision boards except to do work in warm tropical places. And now I have lots of opportunities to do work with colleagues of the Sheikh. So this was, when I say elevating your money vibe changes every area of your life, this is what I'm talking about. Also, I just met a guy who knew a guy that they needed speakers for a wellness panel at the Paris Olympics, and they asked me to do it. I was like, gee, let me think. Yes, I'll do that. So that's a picture of me on the panel and me in front of one of the Paris Olympic logos. That's what led for me to go to the United Arab Emirates with the Sheikh. This is pictures from my movie set, the upcoming film, Your Money Vibes, with me with Bruce Lipton in the middle, and Michael Beckwith, and Marissa Peer on the outside there. And I've wanted to, similar to Christine said, I have mentors, I have people that I looked up to, and literally one of my written vision items has been I'm text buddies with industry leaders in this field. And now I texted Michael 2 days ago, Marcy Scheimoff yesterday. And lastly, it's not just been in my professional life. This is the home, the sunset picture is right in front of me, my home in upstate New York. And this is the house that my spouse and I are just getting ready to build starting September 4th this year. So I share that with you because I really want you to understand this principle. When you master yourself, if you want to master money, you have to master yourself. If you want to master money, oh, by the way, or any other area of your life, you could say, if you want to master fitness, if you want to master relationships, if you want to master love, but we're today talking about financial abundance. If you want to master something, you have to begin by mastering yourself. So when I talk about that, it's so interesting to me that people think, yeah, like that's like everyone knows that, right? That all change begins with awareness. So I'll say there, all change begins with awareness, and everyone knows that. And yet, I just finished a coaching call before I got on here, and I was working with someone who has a PhD. She's a very high-level administrator at a high-level university, and she couldn't let go of her very fixed way of seeing something, even though I could point to her, when you hold on to that fixed view of it, it's causing problems in your relationships with people. I know, but I'm right. Do you get that? Where are you being right in your circumstances such that it's costing you in your relationship with other people and in your relationship with money? If you want to master money, you have to master yourself, because your money gets created from the inside out. So in your workbook that I created for Christine, I gave an inventory tool that I've used for many, many years. It's called the Financial Satisfaction Inventory. So again, all of your relationship with money has to start with awareness. We've already done a little bit of awareness work. What do you most often think, feel, and say about money? That's going to tell you what your money vibe is, right? That's number one piece of awareness. And when you think, feel, and say things like, I love money and money loves me, I have a faucet that I can turn on and off, I love sharing my financial wellness with other people, I know that I'm always taken care of, you have a high money vibe. If you say things like, I can't stand, I want to talk about money. I'm not one of the lucky ones. That was one of mine. I'm not one of the lucky ones. I never catch a break. That was another one of mine. I've had to transform these beliefs. And I did. And so can you. You will not master money without mastering yourself. So first piece of awareness is your vibe, your money vibe. Second piece of awareness, that's the inner plane, right? But I also like to be wicked practical. Second piece of awareness is, how satisfied are you with the various areas of money? Now, money isn't just one area of life, right? So, I don't know if everybody is going to have the workbook or not, so I'll just talk through this a little bit with you. I want you to leave here with really good value. I did this work with someone once who told me it saved his life because he was unconsciously debting by taking money out of his kid's college fund and not telling his wife. He was just unconscious. He was in sales, and when he wouldn't make enough money and he had to pay the bills, I'll just take a little bit here, I'll take a little bit there. He was unconscious. And his getting conscious to it through this work that we did with Financial Strong Foundation, financial awareness, he really recognized that he needed to go to Debtors Anonymous because he had a very addictive relationship with money. And he says that saved his life. So the areas of financial satisfaction that I want you to consider, first of all, your earning. How satisfied are you with what you earn? Secondly, your savings. Do you have money in savings, like a rainy day fund, or we call it a contingency fund? Some people call it an emergency fund. I take language very precisely, and I don't want to create emergencies in my life. I should just call it my circumstances fund. I should call it my circumstances fund, but we have it labeled on our bank account. We have a contingency fund. We have a fund for recreation and education. We have a fund for financial freedom, and the only money that goes in that can be invested, never spent. Opportunity fund. Yeah, I just saw that in the chat. That's great. So how satisfied are you with the various places that you save? That can include retirement accounts, Savings accounts. Like I said, we have a savings account for education and recreation. We have it for financial freedom fund. We have a savings account called long-term savings for spending, so that when we want to, I don't know, buy a jet ski. I can't remember if that came out of our recreation fund. We bought a couple of jet skis a couple of years ago. And we had the money set aside for it because we have savings. So how satisfied am I with the way that I save? I'm really satisfied with it because I'm very conscious about it. Okay, so you're earning, your savings. Another area for you to think about, how satisfied are you, is your investments. If you're like, I don't have any. Well, if you don't have any and you don't want to because you're going to inherit a bunch of money someday, well, that's one thing. You can be satisfied. But for most of us, we want to be engaged in some level of investment, not have our head in the sand. So one of the things I did recently, because I really believe in this alignment with my values and who I am and how I use the tool of money, I met with my financial planner and I came out of a bunch of stocks that I feel are hurting our society or aren't aligned with my values. So I won't say what companies I came out of, but I'm liberal as fuck, so you can imagine what ones might have been. Yeah, there you go. So I came out of a bunch of stocks that I've been invested in, and that I made decent money in my portfolio with. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I want to be really satisfied with how I am investing my money, because money is a currency of energy. And when you are doing things that block your flow, like violating your own values, you're going to create the conditions for constriction rather than abundance. Right? You guys get it. So where am I? Debt. Your debt load is the next area of financial satisfaction. If you have no debt, things are paid off, your satisfaction would be very high. If you're drowning in debt, your satisfaction is probably pretty low. So again, this inventory is in your workbook. So one of the places that you need to bring awareness, so the first is on the inner plane, right? You do that through answering those 3 questions. What do I think, feel, and say about money? And then you go to work, raising your money vibe. And then the second area is on the physical plane, and using the simple tool of your satisfaction inventory tells you how satisfied you are. And then, by the way, it's not just like, oh, wow, I'm super unsatisfied. That sucks. And then you toss it away. No, you say, oh, wow, this sucks. What's the first thing I can do to enhance my satisfaction in one area? What's one thing I can do to enhance my satisfaction in one area? Like, I've had people just start a savings account and put $10 in it, because it's taking that action. It's telling the universe, like, the universe will notice you did that and be like, oh, I got a live one over here. I better pay attention. Yeah, Julie says, what's the smallest action, or what's the next action? What's the next right thing I can do? It doesn't always have to be a small thing, but if that's where you're starting from, that's fine. Yes, just get yourself started. It's so critically important. So the first is your money vibe by asking those questions, and the second is on the inner plane, and the second is on the outer plane. How satisfied are you? And I want to say this. Your money vibe is not something that's static. It's going to, you're going to go through phases. So I want to share this with you guys. I haven't told anybody this. In fact, I'm telling you this before I tell my spouse. Don't tell anybody. I have to tell my spouse this weekend. So we're tearing down. Stephanie's cracking up at me. We're tearing down this house. The one I'm sitting in. If I didn't have a background on, you'd see how skanky it is. It was built by my great aunt and uncle in the 1950s. Been in my family for 7 generations. I own the one next door as well. My other great aunt and uncles. Love this whole region: St. Lawrence River, Thousand Islands, upstate New York. And so we own the one next door for 17 years. We've owned this one for 3 years, and we've wanted for 3 years to tear it down, and we have not been able to do that. We've not chosen to spend our money that way. Up until now. So now we've made this decision. September 9th, we're going to have a crew come in and tear down the house. What do you think's happening to my money vibe right now? Yeah, so it's Stephanie. Yeah. Right? Somebody give me the facial expression of what my money vibe is doing, like Stephanie just did. Yeah, Julia, get that? Yeah, Steph, right? Like, are you kidding me? What am I thinking? And every moment is an opportunity for me to choose and express the truth of who I am. So at each phase of life, choosing this very expensive private school for my son to go to because he has learning disabilities, and we really wanted to give him the best options of life. Like that was another one. Like, what am I thinking? And now he's graduated and he's in college, and like college is freaking cheap compared to what I paid for high school. It's highly specialized education, you can imagine, right? So here I am again. Same thing. Let's go back 20 years when I adopted my son. How are we going to afford this? Oh my God, what am I going to do? Close my clinical practice. So it's not like, I raised my money vibe. You're in it. You're in the human suit. You're in the condition of your neurology, which gets triggered by uncertainty, and your psychology, which just wants everything to stay the same so that you feel safe. So mastering your awareness is really key. And not at a superficial level, like really diving deep into that. And then raising your money vibe, recognizing, living from this truth. I am the conscious co-creator of my experience with money and life. If you're taking notes, write that down. Use that as your affirmation. I am the conscious co-creator of my money and my life. Because as the conscious co-creator, a couple of things happen. First of all, it totally sucks because you don't get to blame other people. And you don't get to bitch and complain. You just don't. Because what are you bitching and complaining about other people and circumstances for? I am the conscious co-creator. So that's the downside. The upside, am I almost out of time? I am, aren't I? Am I off at? No, I'm off at the top of the hour.
You've got till noon.
The top of the hour. Okay, good.
That's great.
Oh, good, because I'm just getting warmed up.
Yes.
So, you give up the right to bitch and complain about people and circumstances. That's the downside of it. Can't play the martyr. You can't be the victim. Crap. But the upside of it is that you live an empowered life. You really do come back to yourself and say, what am I going to do about this? What does it say about my consciousness, and how can I move forward with faith rather than fear? Because, in the face of this decision to build the house, very easy to go to fear. And every moment I see the fear, I choose faith. So the third piece about mastering yourself. So awareness of the inner plane, awareness of the outer plane, that's 1 and 2. The third is raising your money vibe, raising your vibration. Raising your vibration. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to do that. So the goal here really is to raise your vibration. And what that means, you do bring into your life what you believe. So at every point, when we first, going back, gosh, how many years? I've been with my spouse 25 years. We bought the house 25 years ago. Yes, I was that person who got with my partner 3 months later, bought a house. The best decision I ever made. I'm not sure if the house or the partner was the best decision. Either way, I still have both. So I guess it worked out. At every juncture, you get to choose again how you're going to be about money. And so one of the ways that you raise your money vibe is by, listen to this. It sounds so simple, but it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. Consciously choosing what you think. Consciously choosing what you think. So just using the experience of building the house right now, if I go unconscious, the fears and the worries come up. And the minute I can see it, I'm able to choose a different thought. I choose a different outcome. I teach this very simple method on how to use your mind to train your brain. Use your mind to train your brain. And this very simple method, although it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, catch the negative, anxious, worried thought, see yourself doing it, bring awareness to it, challenge that inner thought. It's called the 3 C's method. Catch it, oh, there it is again. I'm spiraling into oh God, what if it overruns? It's going to cost too much. What if somebody gets hurt? blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, don't you get tired of yourself? Am I the only one? Do you get tired of yourself sometimes? I get tired of myself. So you catch it, you see it, then you challenge it. Second C, challenge that thought. Is that true? Is that the outcome you want? Is this the energy and vibration you want to have your life be about? Is this who you really want to be? Is this going to create the outcome that you want? It's so easy to do, but you have to be so conscious. You can't just you don't have the luxury of allowing your unconditioned consciousness to live you. Did you follow that? That was a little wordy. You do not have the luxury of allowing your unconditioned consciousness to run you. Your unconditioned consciousness is programmed for survival. So it's always, psychologically and neurologically, it's always going to be careful, watch out, don't trust, play it safe. Keep it the same. Keep it the same. Let me ask you, how many of you are suffering right now at some level because of that? Yeah. Like I did for years. I was a psychotherapist in full-time private practice, part-time coaching practice. And I knew that I had this calling to live this bigger experience and be an author, a teacher. And for 10 years, I just wouldn't do anything about it. And for 10 years, I suffered. And then, thank you, God, for giving me the cosmic 2x4, and I was able to make that shift. And now here I am. And, the first 2 years of it sucked. Oh my God. It was I went from, a very cushy 6-figure salary income with, well-respected in my field, well-known as a psychotherapist in my community. I'm fluent in American Sign Language. So I was well-known for what I did in my community to Jackie who? What? Who's in this field of thought leadership? It's scary. You are psychologically and neurologically programmed to stay the same. So that's what you're fighting. So when I say you don't have the luxury to be lived by your unconditioned consciousness, that's what I mean. Your default will be safety. And that's not because and then you think, right? It's because, I'm such a loser. This is what I did. It was my big inner mantra, the big L on the forehead. You're such a loser. It's not because you're afraid, don't have confidence, aren't smart enough, aren't talented enough. It's because you're in a human suit. And the human suit constricts you. Right? So firstly, you got to see that you're doing it. There it is again. That's the thing Jackie was talking about. How'd she know? Get out of my head, Jackie. How'd she know that was in my head? I know it's in your head because it's in my head too. And I was a therapist for 30 freaking years. That's way more than 100,000 hours of listening to people tell me about their inner world. Now I've been a coach for 30 freaking years. Everybody has the same inner world. It has different faces to it. But the neurology and psychology is the same thing. And when you know that, it's then you have the opportunity to, what I believe, fulfill your purpose in life, which is to grow in consciousness, back to the divinity from which you came. That's why I teach about money vibe, because I believe our purpose in life as human beings wearing this human suit is to grow in consciousness back to the divinity from which we came. So first C, catch it. See, there it is again. There's my neurology. There's my psychology. That's what that Jackie was talking about. Is she's in my head. Second was challenge it. Really? My challenging it is sometimes a little snarky. I say things like, is that the best you can do? You've been saying that since you were 12. Seriously? That's it? So, but is that true? Is that going to bring you the outcome that you want? Catch it kindly. Aw. That's great stuff. Or not. Mine's a little snarky. You can be, yeah. You can be kind if you want. That's good. I'll try that. I'll try that stuff. How's that? So catch it however you catch it. Snarky, kind, whatever. Challenge it. Yeah, and the challenge it. Maybe challenge it kindly. Instead of shut the heck up, or don't be so stupid. Like that. Don't do that to yourself. Just is that what you really want? And then the third C, what do you think the third C is? Change it, right? Change it. Catch a challenge to change it. Thanks, Joanne. She just dropped that in the chat. Catch a challenge to change it. She put that there before I said it. You've heard this before. And you remembered. It's awesome. So what I just taught you is actually an evidence-based, neuroscience proven way of rewiring your habitual thoughts. There's a book by Dr. Jeffrey Schwartz where he goes into this at length. I think it's called Use Your Mind to Train Your Brain. I think that's the name of the book. Don't remember exactly. Or You Are Not Your, I don't know. You Are Not Your Brain, something like that. Jenny says, I do like challenge it kindly because then it doesn't give so much of our energy away. That's really great. I love that. Yeah, you want to bring that loving, that kind, loving energy for sure. You know, for me, it takes less energy to be snarky, but whatever. That's just who I am. But kind is good. I'm definitely like that. Okay, so the third one is to change it. So when let's back up now. When I talked about using your awareness to choose how you think and choose what you think about. Because I have a long history of chronic depression and ADHD and PTSD, I have to work pretty hard at like redirecting my thoughts, choosing new thoughts. So choose what you think about. And probably the best way that I know to choose what you think about is through gratitude. It sounds so simple, but really being grateful, not just for everything you have, but like grateful for who you are. There's this wonderful piece of research by Seligman. I forget but Dr. Seligman, you know who I mean. The founder of positive psychology. He found that appreciating 3 things about yourself every day increases your self-esteem for at least 3 months. Doing that like every day for like a week increases your self-esteem for like 3 months. So I appreciate that I had a good lunch today. What does that say about me? It says I care about my health and my well-being. Actually, I haven't had lunch yet today, but you get my point. So practicing, cultivating a ground of being, of grateful and appreciative. I want to teach you one more thing about neuroscience that is really important, and it's this. Do you know that you are neurologically wired for experiences that you perceive to be difficult, challenging, embarrassing, someone criticized you, someone rejected you? You are neurologically programmed for those experiences to go directly to your long-term memory. And positive experiences, like holding a new baby or a hug or a standing ovation or winning an award or finishing a book, finishing a big project, those positive experiences are wired to short-term memory. Freaking design flaw. Absolute design flaw. But no, it's not. When you think about, you are neurologically programmed to survive, not to thrive. So taking those, what you perceive to be negative experiences, putting it into long-term memory, going to keep you alive a lot longer. Taking positive experiences, putting it in short-term memory, it's like, that was nice, but now it's not here anymore. However, there is a way to take positive experiences and translate them into long-term memory, and it is this. Savor the experience for just 10 seconds. So you've seen somebody get a standing ovation and then quickly walk off the stage. Stand there. Someone says thank you or gives you an acknowledgement and you flush it off. Take it in. Look at their face. Look at what they're wearing. Notice the room. What's the temperature? How do you feel? I've used this over and over and over again, and it's one of the key factors that has helped me become a person who lives in a consciousness of gratitude. Savor the blessing. So savor this moment right now. Yeah, take in deep appreciation, Julie. That's beautiful. Like, just savor this moment right now. Savor that Christine Hull spent all of her time and her team and her energy putting this together for you so that you could learn this experience. Hear my voice. Like, what's the quality of my voice? How does it resonate in your heart chakra? Some of you have not heard my voice before. Some of you are very familiar with my voice. How does it feel to be here with this and the energy of this group of people? How do you feel about yourself right now? Take it all in and then and then you'll remember more of what I taught you today. So there you go. That's a really wonderful, wonderful thing to know. So these are the principles, and about a dozen more that I teach for people around their money vibe. I see it's getting to be the top of the hour. So two things I want to do. I want to tell you a couple of opportunities that you'd have, and then I want to see if anybody wants to say or ask anything of me. But there's a couple of things I want to highlight with you. One is, if you wanted to do more work with me for a really cheap way and do it for, it's actually interesting, it's a 30-day challenge, which would go nicely with what you're doing, Christine. I have a course called the 30-Day Money Vibe Challenge. And it's little snippets, like 6-7 minute videos and a meditation and an affirmation every day to help you raise your money vibe. And at the beginning of it, it's an intention experiment. At the beginning of it, you determine, how much unexpected income do I want to bring into my life over these 30 days? And then I coach you every day how to bring in that unexpected income. Right? It's so fun. One of my favorite courses. I've used it for many, many years. I've personally brought in like $147,000 in 1 month of unexpected income, not current income, unexpected income, new contracts, new rentals, and just stuff that came into my life. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to tell you about. Elizabeth did the 30-Day Money Vibe Challenge. It's awesome. So yeah, there's the link for it. Thank you, Joanne. There's the link for it. It's $147, and you get me for a whole month in your inbox. And you go to the platform and do the daily study. The second thing is, I want you to go and sign up for when my Money Vibe movie comes out. So the link is yourmoneyvibes.com. And you can just go there and sign up for it, because we're going to be doing like a virtual red carpet event, and I am going to be doing some, events around the country as well. So yourmoneyvibes.com, you'll see all the cast members, and you'll get updates and notifications when the film comes out, which should be early October. So thank you so much. Anybody want to ask anything before or as I wrap up? We've got just a minute or two to wrap up.
I have to say, I haven't seen your site. I want to share it, because look at how well branded we are together with your gold, and I love it. And the sparkles. Isn't that cool? I've never seen those.
Yeah. That's the Your Money Vibes. Yeah. So
so fun.
There's Marie Diamond.
Oh my gosh, you got Joe Vitale in there.
Joe Vitale, Marie Diamond, Marcy Shimoff, Michael Beck.
Oh my gosh.
Bruce Lipton.
And Lynn Twist.
Lynn Twist.
Oh, she's my new favorite
my time
person
with
in
Lynn.
the world.
I love my time with her. She's wonderful. Dawson isn't on there. Dawson was one of my favorites as well. So you'll get notifications about it. So hold on. Jenny's asking me a question. Could you tell me more about your story, what your turning point was, where you went from being a victim to co-creator? Yeah, Jenny. I mean, I don't know that there was one particular turning point. Certainly one of them was when I decided, when I had to leave the domestic violence situation. I mean, my life was unmanageable. I had fallen downstairs at work. Literally, I'd fallen downstairs at work. I had to go to an emergency walk-in clinic because I'd gotten injured. And the doctor took a look at me and my body and the condition I was in. He took me into his office and said, I have a daughter about your age. And if someone was doing to her what I know someone is doing to you, I would want them to say something. I'm going to give you a week off work. Do what you have to do to get out of that situation. And then I had to go into the HR office and, give them the doctor slip and whatever. And she was filling out some form, and she said, oh, so the bruise on your cheek and the scratches on your neck. And I had to say, that's not from the fall. It was a very sobering moment for me. And I left, I left. That was when I ended up being homeless for a time. One of the times that I ended up being homeless. So that was one of them. And the second big, I know, what a great doctor, right, Melody? And that was just at a doc in the box medical walk-in clinic. It was, and literally that guy helped to save my life. I don't know what I would have done if that didn't happen. But thank you, by the grace of God, I was able to move on and heal and recover. The second one was I was married, had my son. My spouse and I owned our house, pretty happily married, and I had a relapse into depression and a relapse into addiction. And my spouse, it's so hard for me to talk about this without crying because I get so moved by it. But my spouse, in all of her beautiful, loving wisdom, said, it's really up to you. I love you either way, but if you're going to choose that path of addiction, I can't live that way. So you're going to have to choose, because it's the addiction or me. And Fortunately, by the grace of God, one day at a time, I am recovered. I am free from the wraps of addiction. It was not an easy path. It was a lot of 12-step meetings, Unity Church participation, volunteer service at my Unity Church, landmark education, psychotherapy, couples therapy. I was a full-time job. Oh my God. Getting well. So, and then as I got better and started understanding energy and metaphysics and practicing it. My first practice of it was when I was reading Schottky Gwain's book, Creative Visualization, and I had no money to pay the rent. And I got a $500 check from my aunt and uncle for graduating from graduate school. And I was able to pay the rent. And I was reading that book, Creative Visualization. So the more I got into understanding metaphysics, the more and more and more it changed. And by the time I was a psychotherapist, I full-time in private practice, I was healthier, and I just knew, like, it's not about what's outside of me. It's about what I believe and the energy and vibration that I live in. And I've spent the rest of my life since that time raising my vibe. And like I shared with you, I'm in it right now as I face this next challenge of building the house, and making this next decision. I have to keep reminding myself of the principles that I'm teaching you here today. So we're in this together. It's not like you get there, I don't know, maybe for some people it is, but for me, I'm a bundle of work.
Oh, you're amazing though. Wow. I love, we love the story that has the contrast.
Yeah.
That's what makes people interesting, is when they have that. And I had no idea. So thank you for being vulnerable and sharing more about who you are.
That's my commitment is to transformation, and it's easy to sit here with all my lofty platitudes, but it's something very different to ground that in the lived experience of this is one of my monikers. I went from hot mess to happy and blessed.
Oh, I love it.
And I was a hot mess. Thank you for your kind comments, everyone. I appreciate that. Really appreciate it. And, sign up on my website, join one of my courses. I'd love to keep in touch with all of you. And really, Christine, it's just so, you put together great events, and I love working with you.
Thank you. I'm blessed to work with you. And I'm connecting to your vibe little by little and feeling that. And so thank you for being available to do this.
Yeah. And Christine, if you see me as a mentor and a role model, I want you to not say, oh, I'm taking on your vibe little by little. Just be like, I am that Jackie girl. I am that.
I love it. I love it.
Right. And the rest of you too, like in whatever way you see something in me, just be like, I am that.
So many things. And then did you also know we're going to give away Lynn Twist's book later today.
Oh,
did you know how well matched your covers are?
I do know that.
My gosh.
I do. And she has a new book out, by the way. I just got to spend like a day with her when we did our filming at Marcy Scheimoff's house. And Lynn and Marcy are good friends. And it was such a blessing to spend time with her. Oh, what a beautiful, wise, loving woman.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And what an amazing start.
You're so welcome. I love being with you, Christine, and God bless all of you. Let's just take a moment to practice what we just.
The 10 seconds. Let's do it. Let's feel that.
Yeah, take a minute. Put your hands over your heart chakra. Take a deep breath. Let it out. And just silently say to yourself, "I am so grateful right now for," and fill in the blank. I am just so grateful right now for this lovely community. I'm so grateful right now for technology. I'm so grateful right now for Christine Hull and her team. I'm so grateful right now for the inspiration that was shared and everyone's energy and attention. I'm so grateful right now. So go ahead and really allow yourself to savor this experience and take it all in. And Christine, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to use that 10-second thing.
Oh,
and I know that
it's a game changer.